Hello, I'm Anna. Looking back, it's no surprise that my innate ability to connect with people and understand their emotions led me to a career in psychology. I poured my heart into building my clinic, spending countless hours listening to and guiding others through their struggles. Ironically, for all my expertise, life would later throw me into a whirlwind of my own emotional chaos. In my late 30s, something began to shift within me. After years of focusing on my career and clients, I started feeling a quiet but persistent longing for something more, something deeply personal. I wanted a family. The realization hit me unexpectedly, like a wave I hadn't seen coming, and even my closest friend, Olivia, picked up on the change. "Anna," she said one afternoon as we sipped coffee at our favorite cafe, "you've been so restless lately. What's going on?" I hesitated, swirling the remnants of my latte. "I don't know, Olivia, it's just. I've been thinking about starting a family. It's weird, I never thought I'd feel this way, but here I am." Olivia's eyes lit up, and she leaned forward, her voice dropping conspiratorially. "I've got an idea. How about I set you up with my second cousin? He's a great guy, smart, funny, and stable. You'd love him." I raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "Blind dates aren't really my thing." "It's not a blind date if I show you his picture first," she countered, grinning. "Come on, Anna, what's the harm? You can chat with him online first and decide from there. No pressure." That evening, more out of curiosity than conviction, I found myself scrolling through Steven's social media profile. Olivia was right, he seemed like a genuinely good guy, tall and broad-shouldered with an easy smile. He exuded warmth. Gathering my nerve, I sent him a friend request. To my surprise, Steven accepted almost immediately, and our conversations flowed effortlessly. Despite being a year older than me at 40, he had a youthful energy that made him easy to talk to. He was funny, attentive, and had a knack for making me feel like I was the only person in the room, or, in our case, the chat window. Weeks passed, and the more we talked, the more I found myself looking forward to his messages. Finally, we decided to meet in person. On the day of our first date, I was a bundle of nerves. I arrived early at the coffee shop we'd chosen, my heart racing every time the door opened. When Steven finally walked in, I recognized him instantly. He was even more charming in person, with kind eyes that crinkled at the corners and a smile that could light up the room. "Anna?" he asked, extending his hand. "That's me," I replied, smiling. "It's nice to finally meet you, Steven." We spent hours talking, laughing, and sharing stories, so engrossed in each other that we didn't notice the barista subtly hinting that the shop was closing. As we stepped out into the cool evening air, Steven turned to me, his expression hopeful. "I had a great time, Anna. Would you like to do this again?" Without hesitation, I agreed. Something about him felt right, and I was eager to see where this could go. Our relationship blossomed quickly. We went on dinner dates, took long walks in the park, and even ventured on a few weekend getaways. But as our connection deepened, I began to notice something peculiar. Steven's phone seemed to buzz constantly. At first, I brushed it off as the demands of a busy life, but the interruptions were unrelenting, and curiosity gnawed at me. One evening, over dinner, I decided to address it. "Busy night?" I asked lightly, nodding toward his phone as it vibrated again. Steven offered a sheepish smile. "Oh, it's just my mom checking in." "At this hour?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "She's a night owl," he explained, his tone casual. "We're really close. She raised me on her own after my dad passed away when I was young. I even had severe bronchial asthma as a kid, and she was my rock through all of it. I owe her everything." His words were laced with genuine affection, but as a psychologist, alarm bells rang in my head. The dynamic he described seemed more than close, it bordered on codependent. Still, I pushed my concerns aside. I was his girlfriend, not his therapist, and I didn't want to overanalyze things. Nearly a year into our relationship, Steven suggested something that both excited and unsettled me. "Anna," he said one afternoon as we sat in my apartment, "I'd like you to meet my mom. She's been asking about you, and I think you'll really like her." The following weekend, we arrived at a charming 3-story home. My palms were sweaty, but Steven gave my hand a reassuring squeeze before ringing the doorbell. The door opened to reveal Julie, a petite woman with graying hair and the same kind eyes as Steven. "You must be Anna," she exclaimed, pulling me into an unexpected hug. "I'm Julie, come in, come in." The afternoon was intense. Julie's focus on Stephen was unrelenting. She doted on him, fetching snacks and refilling his drink before he could ask, all while reminiscing about his childhood. I felt like a bystander in a conversation that revolved entirely around Stephen. When we finally left, I was emotionally drained, but Stephen seemed oblivious. "So, what did you think?" he asked, his face alight with excitement. I hesitated, choosing my words carefully. "Your mom loves you very much." Stephen beamed. "She's great, isn't she? I knew you'd like her." I managed a polite smile, but inside, unease settled like a stone in my stomach. Julie's intense involvement and Stephen's obliviousness hinted at something far more complicated than I had anticipated. I walked toward Stephen, his face lit up with excitement. For a fleeting moment, my doubts melted away, and it felt like it was just the two of us. The reception, however, unfolded exactly as Stephen had warned. Julie took center stage at the head table, charming the guests with endless stories of Stephen's childhood while barely acknowledging me, save for the occasional patronizing pat on my hand. When the speeches began, my heart sank as Julie took the microphone, a wine glass in hand. "My dear friends and family," she started, her voice trembling with emotion, "today we celebrate my son's wedding." She launched into a long-winded tribute to Stephen, extolling his achievements and recounting her sacrifices as a single mother. I was scarcely mentioned, except as an afterthought grouped into a vague toast about their shared happiness. I drained my champagne, fighting a growing mix of irritation and resignation. The rest of the evening blurred into dancing, laughter, and cake, but Julie's presence was inescapable. She seemed to insert herself into every moment, a constant shadow. When the wedding ended, her involvement didn't. She called daily, manufacturing crises to monopolize Stephen's time. One evening, as Stephen reached for his car keys to run yet another errand for her, I couldn't stay silent. "Stephen," I said, my voice steady but firm, "we need to talk. This isn't healthy." To his credit, he acknowledged the issue. "You're right," he admitted, "maybe we should consider therapy, like you suggested." But each weekend brought fresh excuses to postpone Julie's errands, household chores, or her cat's vet appointments. 5 months into our marriage, the interruptions and lack of boundaries were suffocating. When I earned some vacation time, I seized the opportunity. "Stephen, let's go on a honeymoon, just us," I suggested. "We need this." To my relief, his face lit up. "That sounds perfect, Anna. Where do you want to go?" As we planned a tropical escape, a flicker of hope rekindled in me. For the first time in months, I felt excitement. Stephen took charge of the arrangements, promising, "I'll handle everything, the flights, the hotel, all of it, and when we get back, we'll work on things with Mom, maybe even start therapy." The day of our departure, I was nearly giddy, but as we checked in at the airport, my excitement wavered. Stephen handed me my boarding pass, and I noticed it read, "Economy." Confused, I turned to him. "Economy? I thought we'd be sitting together." Stephen hesitated. "I had some credit card points to use, but only enough for one first-class ticket. Since I'm taller, it made sense for me to take it. It's practical, right?" My heart sank. Couldn't we both have flown economy, together? "Anna, it's just a few hours," he said, brushing off my concern. "Don't make a big deal out of it." Swallowing my disappointment, I tried one last compromise. "Can I at least come to the first-class lounge with you before the flight? I'll pay extra." Stephen shook his head. "It's not allowed. The ticket's in my name. Look, I need to check in. I'll see you at the gate." Before I could respond, he strode off toward the first-class counter. Feeling deflated, I trudged through security and found a seat in the crowded economy lounge. As I sat there, trying to rekindle my dwindling excitement, a flash of gray hair and a familiar floral dress caught my eye. My stomach dropped. It was unmistakably Julie. A mix of disbelief and suspicion churned inside me. Stephen's insistence on first class, his refusal to let me join him, it all began to make an uncomfortable kind of sense. Driven by hurt and curiosity, I approached the lounge desk. "Excuse me," I said, presenting my credit card. "I'd like to purchase access to the first-class lounge." The attendant hesitated but processed my request. With my pass in hand, I entered the lounge, scanning the room until my eyes landed on a corner table. There they were, Stephen and Julie, leaning close over coffee, deep in conversation. My heart pounded as I strode toward them, the sound of my heels sharp against the polished floor. They both looked up, startled. Steven's face turned pale. "Anna," he stammered, standing up hastily, "what are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing," I replied, my voice cool but trembling with anger. "Care to explain why you're here with your mother instead of your wife?" Steven glanced around nervously. "Anna, please," he whispered, "let's not do this here. I can explain everything later." Before I could respond, Julie chimed in, her voice syrupy sweet. "Oh, Anna, dear, what a surprise. Steven and I were just about to enjoy our lovely first-class trip together. Isn't it wonderful?" In that moment, hurt and betrayal overwhelmed me. The honeymoon wasn't just ruined, it had become the breaking point.